Hello and welcome back to Lord Fenton Gaming Plays Baldur's Gate 3. I'm your host Lord Fenton. In this Baldur's Gate 3 build video, we're doing the Pure Rogue Thief Dual Wield Advantage Champion build. As always, like, comment, and subscribe my channel for more Baldur's Gate 3 builds like this. Do not forget to notification bells to be updated and much more. Here's the pros and cons of this build. Pros, you're going to be making a lot of money with this build. Yeah, you hear me right. Due to the fact you have high dexterity, sleight of hands, and with some gear advantages, you'll definitely get that. Speaking of advantages, you're going to do a lot of damage when you're doing advantages. In other words, moving around. Another thing is you're going to have, you guessed it, be able to critical hit. When that happens, yeah, your damage will definitely soar up. Another thing I would definitely say, short rest. Yeah, when you short rest, many of your skills come back, and you get to abuse those again. Now, disadvantages, this is a advantage-dependent build. In other words, you try to move up front, it's not going to work. And speaking of durability, you're squishy. So yeah, good idea not to be, up in front in combat. So that's about it for the advantages and disadvantages of this build. So let's go ahead and, of course, start first with the leveling up process. Now, please note that I will definitely use, when I'm creating my character, a wood elf just for demonstration purposes. However, this build's great with a Steron, so I'll be using a Steron to level up, you guessed it, 2 to 12. So we're going to go ahead and begin with the races, and there's quite a few of them actually for that. See, I'm just showing you a Steron once again. So let's go ahead and select the custom and start with that. Here's our elves, so we're going to go over this one. Our movement speed is 9 meters, which is very good. Now we gain elven weapons, which is long swords, short bows, and long bows, in case you want to use a long sword in one hand. Dark vision is good, 12 meters, which is nice. You get advantages in save throws against charm, and you cannot be magically put to sleep. That's one less crowd control. What if, now, if you pick high elf, that's like you're playing a Steron, but I'm going to say is if you go that route, pick the Firebolt level 0 spell. Now, wood elves get fleet of foot, that adds 1.5 meters, plus they get nice other skills as well, like perception and such free, which is good for, you guessed it, for this class. Now, next up on the list is the drow. Now, they get Dancing Light. This will use to troll foes later on. If I remember right, they get Darkness as well, used greatly for stealthing reasons. Their racial movement speed is 9 meters, which is good. Now, their weapons are good. I like the hand crossbows. That's for another type of build, another time. That's a good setup as well for drow weapon training. And let's see here. Superior dark vision up to 24 meters, which is very nice, so you can see more in the dark. And of course, same thing as the other elves. You get advantages on saving throws against charm, and you can't be magically put to sleep. Now, these two are just for role-playing favors. Your Lothsworn Drow or the other one. Up to you on that, which one you ever want to do, of course. So let's go to the next one. Humans. Now, humans, they have 9 meters per turn. They move that. That is very good movement. You're going to need a lot of movement for this build. So let's go to the other one real quick after that one. Now we get the standard human weapons, which is not bad at all. I do advise against using a shield for this build since you're dual wielding. And you get an extra skill proficiency. In other words, instead of normal 4, you get 5. In this case, you get 1 extra more. So next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about after the human races to get the Yankee. This is actually pretty good for this build too. Now, first of all, with the Get the Yankee, the Astral Knowledge, so gain proficiencies in all skills of a chosen ability, which is nice. And of course, you get Mage Hand, plus later on Misty Step for levels for spells to use. Once per short rest or long rest, depending which. 9 meters for base movement, which is good. And their Martial Prodigy, that is not bad at all. So the Longsword is nice as well to add to that addition. So let's go to the next one, and I'm going to go ahead and select... let me select the Grey Dwarf. Well, I'll tell you why we're going to do that in a minute. Now, this one is the Dwarves. They gain 7.5 movement speed, a little bit less than the other race, but that's all right. Now, they can use hand axes, light hammer, and such if you want to go that route. They can see up to 12 meters in dark vision for Dwarves. That's all basic types. And they have advantages and saving throws against poison, so that's good to start a game. Now, with the Grey Dwarves, they can see up to 24 meters, which is good. And they have a good resistance against illusions and stuff. And later on, if I remember correctly, they gain the invisibility spell. And yeah, that advantage also is against paralysis. So that's like 2 you have against that, which is good for this build. Now we got half elves. They're 9 meters, same as their both counterparts, which is good. Then they get the human counterpart, which is civil militia. Then they gain their elven side, which I call that as 12 meters, which is good. And then they gain that nice resistance to against charm. Again, can't be magically put to sleep as well. Now again, you go for a high health, pick the firebolt spell, fire starting reasons. Wood elf half, you get 1.5 meters, and if you get drow, you get dancing light to troll. I'll probably say wood half elf is the best way to go with that section. Halflings, here's the deal: they gain 7.5 movement speed. That's good, and also you guessed it, they gain lucky. So you roll on one, you roll dice, get on advantages and such. And you could do a re-roll in case you don't like that roll, which is good. Brave, you have advantages and save throws against being frightened, so that's one less crowd control to worry about. If you have a advantage on that, it's good. Now, the only one I would probably suggest at this point is Lightfoot Halflings. You have advantages on stealth check. If I remember correctly, if you mess up, you get to roll again, but your movement's a little bit half or so. But that's good for a halfling. Tried it in early access, it was fun. Now, next up on the race, this is the final one most likely. Let me switch it to one. And the one I want to talk about is gnomes. They have 7.5 movement speed, which is good. And another thing they are, I believe it's very nice on their end, is you have advantages on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. And yeah, those are good with the wisdom and charisma mainly. Another thing I picked was the deep gnomes. They're the best. 24 meters to see in the dark, which is great. And here's another one I picked out. But you have advantages on stealth checks. You could be stealthing a lot. And to move yourself in position, this is it. I'm going to say probably the best race is Wood Elf, and probably your Githyanki or Grey Dwarf. And Rogues, you're going to have to use advantages. In other words, as long as you're not being attacked, someone else being the target, and you're 1.5 meters close to your allies or target, you get to do advantage attack. It's like a sneak attack, which is great for this class. Now for backgrounds, there's actually 3 good backgrounds. Charlatan is Deception and Slay of Hands. Those are good. Those are 2 skills we definitely want for this setup. Yeah, Slay of Hands, that's your stealing. Also, among other things as well. Criminal, that's a good one because Deception and Stealth, that's very nice. And that's the 2 I definitely would go for as that. And last but not least is Urchin. Now, that's another good one too, which is Slay of Hands and Stealth. If you like that combination, that is great. So I'll probably say either Charlatan or Urchin. It's tied for first, and then Criminal is number 2. Now, this one's going to be a bit different because I'm going to have an odd number. Usually I'm against that, but I'll explain as we go along. Strength will be at 9, so that's the best way I could put it. I'll have to use the Strength Potion. It'll be +2 in the Strength just to get that up there for now. And there's also at the end of the game with a certain choice to even that out. Dexterity is at 16, which is very nice. This is going to be our bread and butter for this build. So for now, we start at +3 on our mods for dexterity. Eventually, we'll boost that up there. A lot of our skills and other things will matter with dexterity. Constitution I put for 14 for our health. So this way, our little squishy rogue will have some health along the way. We left at intelligence at 8 because that's going to be our weak point for this build is that one. Wisdom, I'm putting at 14 to effect. There's some skills you get to definitely use. That does require wisdom. That's why I kept that there. And charisma, I definitely chosen for that number as well at 14 for a little bit of talking skills, mainly deception. And let's go over the skills right now. So let me click all these off. So let's go over the basic ones before we do anything else. So we already got deception and stealth. Well, we already got, I should say, Slay of Hands and deception. That's for our background. And because we're Wood Elves, we get stealth and deception. Perception. Yeah, those are 2 we definitely will want. Now, we pick Githyanki, for example. Let me go ahead and show that. What you definitely want if you don't want to be a Wood Elf or, I should say, definitely a human. You want Slay of Hands and deception. That's already there, done. Stealth, you want that in there. That's your bread and butter of this build as well because you're going to need to be stealthy, move around the battlefield. Another one I definitely want to do is... Let's see here, perception, because this way we can spot traps and such, and insight. Those are good if you want to go insight. Let's see what else. Yeah, let's go ahead and put that perception there. And one more thing I would definitely like to do with this build is acrobats. That's another one because we'll boost our dexterity there. Now, if you want to be a little bit more talking, then you do is persuasion. That's another good one as well. But go for any of the dex ones first, though, because you're going to have all advantages on that. As for expertise, I would probably say Slay Hands and Stealth. That's the way to go. Slay Hands, this way you steal much more better and be able to disarm traps, which you're going to need for this build. And Stealth, obviously, because you're going to stealth in and out a lot for this build to set up your position kills. So I'm just going to show you a human. So if you do pick a human, I'd probably say at this point you do performance, or I should say definitely, let's see here. Where's it at? Yeah, performance, or even intimidation if you want to go that route. Because those are charisma checks. Those are always good. Up to you all on that, or even persuasion as well. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the Wood Elf race. Yeah, and I'm just going to select those skills because I felt like the Wood Elves are the best for the setup. Now, if you're playing a Steron, yeah, I would definitely go for Slay Hand, Stealth, Deception, Perception, and Acrobats. If you for those, if anything else, I should say Persuasion's good as well too. So let me finish this up. After that, we're going to level our character up. And it's not going to be too hard at all, so let's go ahead and start up the leveling process. It's time to go ahead and level up from 2 to 12. And welcome to the world of being a rogue thief, where you get to steal, take advantage of foes more ways than one. And of course, our model will be Asteron, our favorite half-elf vampire, to level up from, you guessed it, 2 to 12. And it also shows you it works with him as well. And now here's your first action. It's Cunning Hide. So you use that in battle as a bonus action. So when you do hide, and of course your self check applies. Cunning action dodge, you get to move around the battlefield. It's a bonus action, which is good. And disengage. So if you bite off more than you chew or you're a target, hit disengage and try to run away so you don't get provoked. So let's go to level 3. Ding, level 3, everyone. I always want to say that. And let's get rid of the Arcane Trickster. We're not that. That's a Steron's default. So here's what we get as a thief. We get fast hands, gain an additional bonus action, which is good for this build. We're going to be abusing that quite a bit on some end. Another thing, second story works. So you gain, you master Art of Falling, gain resistance against falling damage. Dang, level 4, everyone. Yep, we're level 4, and we get ourselves a feat. So this, I say, class gets 4 levels of it. We're going to pick Dual Wielder, so here's the deal. You gain a +1 bonus to armor class while wielding a melee weapon in each hand. With our high dexterity already up there, we'll get more AC with that. So it's +1 whatever dexterity modifier you have. Dual Wielder, so you get to deal with, I should say, your main hand, like for example, or offhand with a heavy weapon. You can't do both heavy weapons, but this build we're going to use finesse weapons. So let's go ahead and level up once again. You guessed it. So we get ourselves another class feature, which is, yeah, we get Uncanny Dodge. When an attack hits you, you only take half the damage. So this is a very good, I should say, free class feat to have. It's much more powerful than the Neverwinter Nights version. Now let's go level 6. Ding, level 6, and we're halfway through. So let's go to that. And we get to change our skills. So for example, with Asteron, each default on Persuasion. We don't like that. We can switch that to Acrobats. I'm just going to go ahead and keep that for now for him in case I get him forced into talking to someone. So let's keep on going. Now let's go level to 7. So let's go ahead and do that. And what we get is Evasion. So here's how it works. When a spell or effect would normally do half the damage on a successful dexterity saving throw, it does none. So you succeed on a dex saving throw, you get nothing. Fail, you take half. So this is a very powerful class feature to have. Now we're at level 8, everyone. We get ourselves another feat because we're so cool. And well, it's ain't the game design of it. Now, for any ability improvements, everything in the dexterity. So our dex mod should be at 4. We have a total of 7 saving throws plus 4 from the dex mod and 3 from the proficiency. So our dex saving throws, higher dex number, the higher dex saving throws it will be. Well, actually, higher dex saving throw advantages on that. But still, you get the point. And we're at level 9. Now, this is a very good one. I like Supreme Sneak. This is like the invisibility spell. And it's an action. So what happens is you're invisible for 10 rounds. So if you attack, steal, cast a spell, or any other action, or take damage, you will be revealed. And I need to mention it's a good setup ability too. So we're now at level 10. So let's go to the feat, shall we? And what we're going to do is Lucky. Here's the first thing about Lucky. You can use a luck point to gain advantage on your next ability check, which is always nice, especially in dialogue or disarming a trap. And you can use a luck point to gain advantages on your next attack rolls or saving throws, or make your enemy roll again. So for example, if foe rolls again, that's about it. Now if you get lucky already as a halfling, then I do a salvage attacker. So this way you get 2 dice, you take the highest result of that. Now dang, level 11, and we're getting closer to the cap. And this is what we get now. Reliable talent, wherever you make ability check with skill you're proficient with, the lowest result of that is a 10. So this is very good. So for example, we're disarming a trap, and it's a little bit of a tough one. It's a 10 for difficulty check. It'll always be a 10. We'll always succeed on that, which is a very good thing for this build. Now we're at the last level, ding, level 12, and we get a feat. Yeah, every other class is 4, 8, and of course 12. And what we're going to do is ability points. So let's go ahead and select that now. Now we're going to put that in the dexterity. That'll be 20. That's our goal for this build. We get more dex saving throw bonuses. Our mod will be at 5. And a whole bunch of other good things as well. And that's about it for leveling up from 2 to 12. For this next part of this build video, we're going to talk about permanent ability boosts. In Baldur's Gate 3, there are 3 permanent ability score boosts, 1 for each act. So I'm going to go over them. In Act 1, if you decide to spare Auntie Ethel, in other words, get her underneath 10 hit points, the battle will stop and she'll give you an offer of an item that will boost 1 of your ability scores. You have a choice to choose from. Now, if you want to do this, avoid your paladin doing this. In other words, don't have the paladin talk. Otherwise, they might be an Oathbreaker. Yeah, especially your Oath of Vengeance. You should be the one to do it, or anybody else who's not a paladin. Just be safe. Now, in Act 2, with a Steron, or in case you're a Steron, have him bite Aja, who's the one that sells those wonderful alchemy items and other goodies you'll hear about later on in this video in the Moonrise Towers. Yep, that's right, that merchant. You do this, you get a +2 strength potion, which will give you +2 strength. Now, last but not least is the Mirror of Loss itself, and that has a few conditions. First, you gotta pass a few intelligence check, your religion, and or arcane. And yeah, good ideal to get some intelligence boosts out of it, items and such. Some people respect their intelligence up in order to boost that up as well, to pass those checks. Now, here's the deal. There are 3 results in this. Now, first result is there'll be some kind of special message. You get a +1 charisma bonus already for yourself. And number 2, you get a +2 stat of your choice. Yep, you heard me right. In other words, you get to pick a stat you want. In this case, dexterity for this build. That's important. Now, another thing is you'll pass a check. You won't pass the first charisma one that's in, but you pass another one after your stat loss. Yeah, by the way, all 3 of those are stat losses anyways. They're very curable. Anyways, the stat, you get +2 stats, pick dexterity. Now, here's the deal. If you don't pass those checks after you lose the stats of your choice, you get nothing. Don't try to cheat the mirror by being deceptive. Shar knows. She knows everything. You'll get nothing out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate right now. You guessed it, the strength potion boost. For those of you who want the strength potion for yourself, or you just want, for example, a Steron to have it, since you're playing a Steron, you just like this rogue, well, guess what? Bite her, Aja. After that, what happens is you get a nice potion that will boost your strength up automatically. And I'm demonstrating my paladin right now to go ahead and show that boost up. And there you go. We got +2 strength. So our next thing we're going to talk about is the Mirror of Loss. After you pass, you guessed it, some intelligence check here by using the 17 intelligence helmet from Act 1 that you kill one of the 3 ogres with. And or using guidance or anything else that boosts your intelligence, or you decide to respect your intelligence really high. And what happens is you get a choice of what you lose. I would probably say lose something like a wisdom or a constitution. You get that back by remove curse. So I'm going to go over right now at this very time on what of the each of the you guessed it, what you do gain. So let's talk about the first one. Number 1, that gives you +2 strength. Number 2 is +2 dexterity. That's what you're going to be going for this build, +2 dex. Number 3 is +2 constitution. Number 4 is +2 intelligence. Number 5 is +2 wisdom. And number 6 is +2 charisma. Now, please note the maximum amount of that will be 24. And that'll be about it. So for this demonstration, I'm picking charisma because I'm doing this on my paladin. You should do dexterity. And yeah, like I said before, The negatives can be removed by a remove curse spell. Either have Shadowheart, a paladin of devotion, or anybody else to be able to cast it, or you have a scroll, go ahead and do so as well. So here's the before and after for the permanent ability boosts. Now, here's the deal. So before all this happens, you gained yourself, you guessed it, 9 strength, your dexterity will be at 20, your constitution will be at 14, intelligence 8, wisdom 14, and charisma 14. That's after leveling up and such. So when you do these permanent stat boosts, here's what you do get now. Now, you get 12 if you decide to spare Auntie Ethel and use the strength potion. In other words, you'll be out of the odd number, which is good. Dexterity 22 because you use the mirror laws. Constitution 14, intelligence 8, wisdom 14, and charisma 14. Now, that'll be 15 if you pass the other check for charisma. And that's about it for this section. So let's go ahead and talk about Tadpole Powers. Here are the Tadpole Powers I do suggest. I split them into 2 categories: before using the Astral Touch Tadpole and after. This will be a bit different than my wizard, or say arcane casters, and melee type of build. So let's go ahead and start with the before. Now let's go ahead and talk about before using that Astral Tadpole. Favorable beginnings boost attack rolls or give you advantage in dialogues. Now this is really great for both sides of the coin, especially you do get caught and you have to be deceptive or use deception to BS your way through dialogue. And plus the attack rolls are nice as well. Charm prevents a foe attacking you for 1 turn. So a foe draws your attention to you, pop charm, they'll attack someone else, you go into stealth. After that is done, what you definitely do is attack them. Of course, taking advantages. Now, next up is Shield of Thralls. Make a shield on you or your allies that's 10 hit points. When that shield goes, any foes in the area gets a stun. That is very great. It sets you up for many things next time. Sonic Backlash. When a foe casts a spell, you do 1d4 damage. So, if you cannot, for example, take advantage of foes, they're far away, you use that. Just remember, you get popped out of stealth. Now, next up, this one I do love. Ability Drain, or Drain Ability, they call it. An attack can either drain strength, melee, or dexterity range. This is very nice, so this way they'll be weaker in either department. So let's go ahead and talk about when you definitely use the Astral Touch Tadpole. So you decide to go to the dark side of Baldur's Gate 3. Welcome to the dark side. Well, not really with the Astral Touch Tadpole, but here's some powers. Black Hole is an OP AoE attack. You drop a black hole on a whole bunch of foes. Most of them will die instantly. I used this towards the end of the game, and I had some good times with that. Now, it's 5 charges before a long rest happens. Fly, gain ability to fly, just like the fly spell. It's a nice movement ability, so this way you kill one foe, you can zip to another foe when someone else is distracted. Repulsor, this is an AoE pushback damage type of thing. What happens is some foes surround you, a bunch of them, you use it, push them back, you run away and go stealthy again. Free cast, next ability, spells, or anything else is free of charge. So if you're using Supreme Stealth, for instance, that gives you visibility, but you don't want to waste it, cast free cast, then Supreme Stealth, you use that freely. Absorb Intellect, gobble up a foe's intellect, lower their intelligence by 1 per turn, and healing your wounds for 5 turns. So that's -5 intelligence total. Especially great against casters. This will also heal you 1d8 hit points for 5 turns. This is a great ability to use. So, for example, you got the bonus of, action for your Mind Flayer powers. You just did your vanish attack, aka sneak attack. Pop this sucker, you'll heal up, and then you can run away if you want to. That's about it for Tadpole Powers. Next up is Gear of Ice. Please note, I did split up this gear section into 2 categories. Gear that you should get by the end of Act 1 before entering the Shadow Curse Lands, which is Act 2 and Endgame. So if it says Act, make sure you do not leave the Act in the area until you get said items. So let's go ahead and start with the end of Act 1 equipment. The Shadow of Mesobranzian Helmet. Yeah, we're doing headgear. Gain the Shroud and Shadow's ability. This is exactly the same as the invisibility spell. Looted from the Pale Corpse in the Mitochondrial Colony in Act 1. Either you must help out the Mitochondrial Colony by doing their quest, or slaughter the camp. Up to you all on that. Now here's a good alternative for that in case you can't get it, you don't want to get it. The Haste Helm Gains momentum for 3 rounds. This is in a locked chest in the Blighted Village in Act 1. Yeah, by the way, that momentum is a movement, which is really good for this build. So let's go to the next one, shall we? Next up on the list are the chest pieces. Spire Silica Armor, you gain advantage on Constitution saving throws, +1 bonus to stealth checks. Minthara drops this in the Shower Sanctum in Act 1. You could try to knock her out, and if you do, steal the armor from her as well. Yeah, you could do that. I tested it out on another character I knocked out. So here's another set of gear in case you cannot get this one at all. Drought-studded leather, that is stealth +1. Heavy chest near the Festering Cove entrance and the Underdark Part 1 in Act 1. So let's move on to the next set of equipment. Now, please note everyone, the Gloves of Thieves you see before you will also be in the pickpocketing section. In other words, we're doing some pickpocketing gear for this build. Anyways, Gloves of Thieves, advantage on Slay a Hand checks. Bram sells this in the Zent's hideout in Act 1. You gotta side with the Zents for the missing shipment quest. In other words, kill the gnolls. Once you do that, then of course don't loot inside the cave, and then all you need to do is go visit them in the inn area. Then you just talk to them, and you'll be able to access this vendor. Now here's a good alternative: Gloves of Hail of Thorns. Hail of Thorns spell shoots a volley of thorns. The thorns deal weapon damage to the target, then explodes. The explosion deals an additional 1d10 piercing damage to the target and surrounding creatures. On miss, the thorns still explode. On save, target still takes half damage from the explosion. Sold by the same guy that has the gloves. It's up to you on you want to get your one of those, or if you don't have enough money on one, then get the other. Let's move on to the next one. Disintegrating Nightwalkers. These boots are the next ones we're going to do. Can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice. Gain Misty Step like the spell. True Soul Near drops this in the Grimforge area, Underdark Part 2 I call, in Act 1. Yeah, you definitely want to kill True Soul Near for this. These are the best boots in the game for this build. I'll put that up there once again. Now, next part is the alternative in case you can't get this one or you didn't get it yet. Line Breaker Boots. Once per turn when you dash, you gain Wrath for 2 minutes. Wrath is when you gain bonus +1 to damage with melee weapons, and plus you get athletics +1. Walk Pins in the Shower Sanctum in Act 1. This is dropped by Beastmaster Zerk. Yeah, you want to kill the fool? Go ahead and get these. If you could try to pickpocket them, go for it as well. Next up on the list is the Necklaces. Moondrop Pendant. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke attack of opportunity. Attack of opportunity is when you try to move around near an enemy and they attack you. Well, this won't do it once you're below 50 hit points. Solve the Saloon Magic Chest puzzle in the Owlbear Cave in Act 1. You just gotta find a prayer for it or something like that, and then open up the chest to get rid of the curse or something. That's something like that as well. Then you get this nice necklace. Here's a good alternative, everyone. Amulet of Misty Step. Gain Misty Step spell to use, just like Misty Step. You teleport around. In the Shower Sanctum at True Soul Gut quarters in Act 1. Yeah, it's in the quarters. You could go ahead and steal in there also. Yeah, there's ways to get in. So let's move on to the next set of equipment. Now onto the rings. This is similar to my melee build since the rings are like that. Crusher Band, movement speed +3m. Steal or loot Crusher to get this in the Goblin Camp in Act 1. Very valuable ring. Caustic Band, you deal +2 acid damage to foes. Deathwish Bone Cloak sells this at the Mitochondrial Colony, Underdark in Act 1. That area is very useful. I'm just saying. Alts, I should say, in case you can't get one or the other or both. Ring of Absolute Force, use of Thunderwave spell per Thunderwave. If Absolute Branding is on you, deal +1 extra damage. Charge Thrin in the Grimforge area in Act 1 has it. This is like the Underdark Part 2 I call. The Sparks Wall cannot be electrocuted. Electric resistance is increased as well. Arcane Tower Basement, Underdark in Act 1. Solve the Arcane Tower puzzle. You get sent to the basement. Go loot everything up, including this. Let's go ahead and do the dual wielding weapons. Knife of the Undermountain King. This is a short sword +2. The wielder scores a critical hit when rolling a 19. When they roll 2 damage or less, they re-roll the dice, taking the highest results. Have advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets when using this blade. Ajaka Jera in the Mountain Pass, Githyanki Crest sells this in Act 1. And here's an interesting note, everyone. She will also sell the gloves of dexterity. So if your dexterity is at 16, get those as well. Didn't mention the gloves, but I just want to mention it now. Hunter's Dagger. This is a +1 dagger. On hit, the target must succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or become ruptured. This is like a bleeding damage, like 1 through 4 or 1 through 6 per round. Rogue Moonglow in the Shower Sanctum in Act 1 sells this as well. I'm going to go ahead and list some alternative dual-wielding weapons. Short Sword of First Blood. Deal an additional 1 through 8 piercing damage to targets that still have all their hit points. So if they have full hit points, you get the extra 1d8 damage. Around the Underdark Beach in the Underdark area in Act 1. Yeah, so there's 2 possible corpses there. Just search every corpse around that area. That Underdark Beach is where the Druger you fought at for the Mushroom People quest. Now, another weapon I'm going to go ahead and say at this point, go for either a +1 dagger or a +1 short sword on the other hand. Those vary throughout the act, so good idea just to get the drops from them, that's it. On to, you guessed it, the ranged weapons. Here are some ranged weapons for this build. Bow of the Banshee, +1 short bow on a hit, possible inflict frighten. You also gain 1d4 against frightened targets. Kalsar Grey Moon in the Grimforge area in the Underdark in Act 1 sells this or drops this. Good idea to buy it. Best way to go. Here's a good alternative Jolt Shooter. When the wielder deals damage using this weapon, they gain 2 lightning charges. Each charge is a +1 attack rolls and a +1 lightning damage. After 5 charges, you do deal an additional 1d8 lightning damage and it resets again. One of the 3 rewards for saving Counselor Froric at the Burning Inn in Act 1. That's the end. You had to go ahead and do the time event, get her out of there. Once you do, you definitely get the reward. This is good for Act 1 only. So let's go ahead and do some endgame gear. Now, please know about endgame gear. You want to make sure you get these in the proper act. So if it says Act 2, you do not leave said act until you get the said item. And if it's in Act 3, do not get on the rowboat. That's a point of no return before getting the item. So let's go over each of them. Mask of Soul Perception. You gain a +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. Also, you gain thoughts just like the spell. Now, this is a good helmet because of those 3 there, the first 3 I just mentioned. The Detect Thoughts is just bonus. This is in the Devil's Feet on the top floor where you have to steal it. So you have to break in the room, then go ahead and steal that. Here's a nice alternative that you definitely want if you don't like this one. Helldusk Helmet. Infernal Sight. You could see in magical and ordinary darkness up to a range of 12 meters. You cannot be blinded. You cannot be critical hit upon. +2 saving throws against spells. And you get immortalizing gaze. Searing, sear and frightens a target with nothing but your gower. And you also deal an additional 2d8 fire damage against burning creatures. And this is in a locked room in the House of Hope in Act 3. Do not leave until you get this item. So let's go on to the next one. Now we're on the cloaks. Shade Slayer Cloak. While hiding, the number you need to roll a critical hit when attack is reduced by 1. This is also stacked with other items, so you find any more items similar to that, yeah, use it as a set. Sticky Dondo sells this in the Lower City Sewers Guild Hall in Act 3, so definitely buy from him for that. Here's a good alternative, Cloak of Protection +1. Well, it's actually Cloak of Protection, but still, I'll treat it as that. This is a +1 AC and +1 saving throws. Sold by Core Master Tally at the Last Light Inn in Act 2. So, yeah, get the Cloak of Protection there ASAP before leaving the act. Now, next up to bat is Elegant Studded Leather. Gain a +2 bonus to initiative rolls. Gain advantage on stealth checks. Cast shield spell just like the spell once every short rest. It's like a reaction one. Now, this is at the High Security Vault number 9 in the Vault Rooms in the Counting House in Act 3 at the Lower City. Yeah, go there. Now, the good alternative, I'm going to be blunt, is one of the other 2 chest pieces you did find in Act 1. That's a nice one, too. I didn't list this one, but the Ballless Armor, if you decide to go through the entire Murder Tribunal, what will happen is there will be a certain vendor there, a half-dragon, and that's where you do get the Ballless Armor at, if you want to go that evil path. So let's go to the next one. Gloves of Soul Catching. Your unarmed attacks deal an additional 1d10 force damage. That we're not going to use. Once per turn on an unarmed hit, you regen 10 hit points. So here's the deal. We're not going to use that. However, we're going to use this though. Alternatively, you may forego healing to gain advantages on attack rolls and saving throws until the end of your turn. Now that is really useful. So you want like some nice advantage on your attack roll, especially with this build. Go ahead and do so. This will also give you +2 Constitution. This will be up to 20. With Thor, if I remember correctly, 14 Constitution. I'll bump to 16. That's what we need, unless of course we use the Greater Amulet of Health. But anyways, this is a reward for saving Hope in the House of Hope in Act 3. Yeah. You get her saved, you get the gloves. Here's a good alternative one. I like this one really well. Poisoner's Gloves. Whenever you deal poison damage, the target needs to make a successful Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. That is a very good glove to use. We're going to be poisoned quite a bit with this build. Back in the House of Healing in Act 2, so you need to jimmy the lock, or if you already have the key somewhere, go ahead and open it up. And also, do not leave Act 2 without it. On to the next one. I'm going to be blunt about this one. This integrating Nightwalkers. If you did get them from Act 1, you know what they do. This is one of the best boots for this build in the entire game. Now, here's a good alternative, which I really do love. Helldux Boost. In case you didn't get it or you want to get these instead. Cannot be moved by magical or normal means. Immune to difficult terrain. When you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to succeed instead. When you do teleport, you do 2 to 16 damage. That is fire, by the way. This is in Lord Gortash's room in Act 3. He has the key. Either steal the key or try to jimmy the lock open one way or another. Let's go to the next set of equipment. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is necklaces. I found 2 best ones, so here we go. Amulet, Greater Health, Constitution set to 23. So now if you had the other item, which is Constitution 20, then I suggest you switch the other one out. Which is, I think it was the gloves. And here's the deal. Advantage on Constitution save throws. This is in the archives at the House of Hope in Act 3. That is where the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength is at. Where you also your strength gets set to 23. Just telling you that. Yeah, that's all in Act 3, by the way. Here's a good alternative. Surgeon Subjugation Amulet. When scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, the wearer can paralyze the target for 2 turns. Now, that's very good for this build because your foe's paralyzed then. Yeah, you can set things up for your other characters to do critical hits constantly. Maelstrom drops this at the House of Healing in Act 2. So here's the deal about that. You can either fight him or get him to kill himself via dialogue, and you get that immediate way. Do not leave Act 2 without it, I always say. On to the next one. Killer Sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. This is once per long rest. Same trial in the Gauntlet of Shard in Act 2. Usually your main character will drop this. You know, where's your clone. So kill your clone, you get this very nice ring. Do not leave Act 2 without it. In fact, do not leave the Gauntlet of Shard without it at all. Next up is the Ring of Regeneration. At the start of combat, you regenerate 1 to 4 hit points. Roland sells this in Act 3 at the Sorcerer's Sundries. Also, someone else does too if he's not there. Here's some alternatives I've decided to list. Ring of Free Action. You ignore the effects of difficult terrain and cannot be paralyzed or restrained. Aja, that's the Strength Potion NPC that will stay around a bit to get the Strength Potion. This is in Act 2 at the Moonrise Towers. Once again, do not leave that act without it. In fact, buy all of her equipment there. Shifting Corpus Ring, you cast Blur and Invisibility. Just like the spell, each of those are once per long rest. That is, I'm going to say this right now, that is really useful for, going invisible. And as for Ring of Free Action, you're freely to move. Those are 2 good combinations. Flaming Fist Marcus drops this at the last light in Act 2. Now, if you're friendly with him, try to steal that from him. I'm just saying. Let's go to the next set of gear. Crimson Mischief. This weapon deals an additional 1d4 piercing damage against targets with 50% of their hit points or fewer. This weapon enchantment is +2, which is a short sword, by the way. Now, here's 2 different things it does. Main hand only, so if you equip this with your main hand, when you deal an advantage attack, you deal additional +7 piercing damage. So you do a backstab or sneak attack, add +7 to it, plus your weapon damage and any other modifiers. Now offhand only, so if you switch this to your offhand, when you attack with your offhand, your ability mod gets added to the damage. So for example, your ability mod is 7, so add the offhand weapon damage to that, plus modifiers 2. Drop by Orin the Red in Act 3. Now next up is Bloodthirst, weapon enchantment plus 2. This is a dagger. It's that funky dagger that Orin the Red has. I'll go on with more. Numbers for a critical hit needed is reduced by 1. This stacks, by the way, so any of the items you see, definitely couple those up nicely. Main hand only, foes hit with this is weak to piercing damage. So you have a lot of piercing weapons. This is it here. Offhand. So if you decide to use offhand instead, when a creature misses you, you cast True Strike, just like the spell. Reward for defeating Orin the Red. That's right, kill Orin the Red, you get this baby. Let's go to the alternative weapons. Rhapsody, this is a dagger plus 1, gain plus 1 attack rolls, and spell save DC. Max stat on this is 3, so you got 3 stacks of that. That is plus 3 attack rolls, plus that spell save DC is plus 3. Possibly inflicts bleeding when hitting a creature with this weapon while hiding or being invisible. So you bleed your foe out. This is great. Cazador drops this in Act 1. And by the way, this is a plus 1 weapon. Now, here's the last one. Sword of Life Stealing. This is a plus 2 short sword. On critical hit, target takes an extra 1-10 necro damage. That's the green one. That's why I call it. As long as it's not an undead or a construct. If it's those, nothing. You gain 10 temporary hit points upon, of course, hitting a foe. I believe it goes up to 10. That's it. Damien sells this at the last light in Act 2. Maybe in Act 3 if you're lucky. But still, you see Damien, buy it ASAP. Buy all of his stuff. Then go steal his gold afterwards. Let's get to the ranged weapons. Now, please note I put the ranged weapons there for some stuff you could definitely use. So here we go. Gorte Mail. This is a plus 3 longbow. Inflicts sky and light upon target being hit with it, just like the spell itself. Gains a special haste without all the bad effects after. So in other words, it's just like the haste spell. Your movement, extra attack, you name it. The object shines with a glowing light in a radius of 6 meters. You gain a permanent light around you. This is also great to expose many hidden foes as well. So if you use this one, go ahead, just focus more on advantages you want to get. Now this is dropped by the Steel Watcher Titan. Yep, that's right. This is in Act 3 at the Steel Watch Foundry. This is the boss of the Steel Watch Foundry. Very nice bow to have. Now here's a good alternative. I believe this is like the second best bow in the game in my mind personally. The Deadshot. Plus 2 longbow, the number you need to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1. So this also stacks too. Any of those items I just mentioned that is the same thing as before, grab them all and stack them. The wearer doubles their proficiency bonuses when rolling ranged attacks with this weapon unless they have a disadvantage. So for proficiency bonus, you do double. Sold by Fritz, the firecracker in the lower city in Act 3. That's Karlach's friend. You want to buy this ASAP. Now that is about it for gear. Next up we're going to talk about is pickpocketing gear. The main reason why I did list this type of gear is simple. This way you can make some cash, or I should say more like gold in the game. Pickpocketing is the best way to absolutely pull it off without doing major exploits or anything like that. So let's go over the gear that you definitely need to set up your pickpocketing gear. Please note that, I'm going to say this now, if it says a certain act, do not leave said act until you actually get the item. The Graceful Cloth gets plus 2 dexterity, max is 20. So this is a good item to have until your character is actually 20 dex. And Lady Esther sells this at the Mount Pass in Act 1. So I'm only going to list the what I feel is important for pickpocketing and such. Smuggler's Ring, this will give you stealth plus 2, slay of hands plus 2, and charisma minus 1. This is hidden in a bush that has a skeleton that has the ring, is by the Broken Bridge at the Risen Road in Act 1. Next up, Gloves of Thievery. You should already know about this, but I'm going to remind everybody again who just decided just only to go ahead, click on the pickpocketing gear link. This will give you advantage on Slay of Hand checks sold by Brim at the Zent's hideout in Act 1. Now, here's a good alternative. Gloves of Power, Slay of Hands plus 1. Goblin boss Zakurg drops this in Act 1 at the Druid Grove entrance. Yeah, don't leave the area until you get his corpse and stuff. Here's another one. Unlucky Thieves Glove. Slay of Hands +2. Now, here's what happens. Every time you steal, you get some coal. Steal too many times, you're set on fire with the burning status. Akibal's Wheel of Fortune at the Circus of the Last Day in Act 3. Now, this is just a random prize. You got to do RNG. So, my advice is save before starting the game. Then, of course, pay the gold, get the item you need, and that's it. Now, here's another one. This is important to get as well. Reverse Raincoat, Constant Wet Effect. This is used to counter burning. Same as the Unlucky Thief's Glove where you get it at. Again, make a save, pay the money until you get that, and of course the gloves from Akibal's Wheel of Fortune. Definitely go for those two before you guessed it. Steal the ring from him so this way you get the legendary item. And that's about it for pickpocketing gear. Next up is potions, elixirs, and of course oils. Now for this build, potions, elixirs, and definitely oils are important. As for poisons, they're your top priorities, so definitely coat your weapon with the best poisons you find throughout the game. Like for example, the purple worm toxin. So anyways, let's do the potions first. As always, get any or all healing potions. You don't have a cleric or your clerics down, your druids down. Chug it up with healing potions of all types. Potion of Haste is very important. The most abused potion in the game. Gain an extra action plus 2 AC, advantages on dexterity saving throws, and double movement speed. Another good one is a potion of flying, same as the fly skip bell. Potion of invisibility, invisible on yourself. For 10 rounds, this is how long it lasts. Any action breaks this. This is a great way to pickpocket. Chug a potion of invisibility, pickpocket after it wears off. Dart like crazy out there. If you want to, chug another invisibility potion so you don't get caught. Honorable mention is potion of vaulting. That gives you, I should say, big old jumping distance or jump height, depending on how you feel about it. On to the elixirs. Here's some elixirs I did list this time. Elixirs of Vigilance gain a +5 to initiative, and you cannot be surprised. Elixir of Viciousness increase your chance on a critical hit. In other words, they'll lower the dice roll. You have those items, it stacks with those. In other words, you'll be critical hitting more often than not. Another one I like is Elixir of Bloodlust. Upon killing your foe, you get 5 hit points and an extra bonus action. For this build, you want that action big time. I'd probably say these are the top 3 elixirs to drink. Let's move on to oils. Oil accuracy coats weapon, bonus of +2 and attack rolls. Very good. Now, if you want to annoy some wizards, Wizard Bane Oil, its target receives a -3 penalty to spell attack rolls and spell save DC. They also have disadvantages on saving throws for maintaining concentration for 2 turns. Last but not least, use any all poisons you find throughout the game. You use your best poisons on the toughest foes. Use your yard trash poisons like basic poisons on normal foes and such. That's about it for potions, elixirs, and oils. Next part of the video is one combat demonstration and why you should definitely steal in the game. Now, there's a total of 2 rules I'm going to go by for this build for combat. Number 1, make sure you have people as distractions. Good idea to either have a tank or I should say someone with a 2-handed weapon, or even other dual wielders who are not this class you're seeing this video on. And number 2, make sure, this is very important, that you are not, I repeat, not the main target. Make sure your tanks are the absolute targets. Otherwise, what's going to happen is your sneak attacks will not work. You're not going to do the damage you need to do. If you do get target, disengage, get out of there fast, and run to someone else so this way they're the targets. So I got those 2 set up right now. Unfortunately, my paladin missed. And all we need to do is just play it cool and watch the Steron finish this fool off. And yeah, see, the fool doesn't recognize me because I'm definitely hidden. He's going to go after, you guessed it, my paladin. Yeah, see, he's even trying to say, show yourself. He's failing his checks on it, panicking. Now this is a perfect time to, you guessed it, to do a sneak attack. We're going to do sneak attack with our melee weapon. So let's go ahead and finish this fool off. Let's see. There you go. We got 1. We almost done it, so 2 more hits and he should die. If he doesn't die, next round he's guaranteed to die. And yeah, this is how you set up your advantages, just like that exactly. So just remember, keep your party members as distraction. You go in with this build and use your, I should say, sneak attacks for the win. So we'll go ahead and do the next part of this build video. You guessed it, everyone. Pickpocketing. Normally I do a second combat demonstration, however I felt like this is much more important. So let me go ahead and explain this. In order to make money in Baldur's Gate 3, you're going to need to do some serious pickpocketing. Start out in Act 1, definitely go through the list of, I should say, sleight of hands, equipment that you definitely want. So this way you keep on practicing and go into Act 2. What do you want to pickpocket? Number 1, pickpocket your gold. My advice is buy everything from the shop so the gold's high, then pickpocket the gold back. Make sure you use guidance, that's very important. So set up the pickpocketer with guidance, number 1. And then number 2, get your invisibility potion going. Now I don't have guidance on my character, but still I can still pickpocket. We're going to go ahead and steal the ring. That's the only thing we can do with this guy. But if you can steal the gold, that's fine. Once you do that, run away as far as possible. Get away from everyone. So this way the person trying to look for you won't look for you at all. So that is how you basically pickpocket. Just remember to focus on the gold than anything else small. Don't try it over and over again because there'll be more alert each time. So let's go over some final advice before I do end this build video. Here are some final advice before I do end this build video. So make sure everybody else is distracting your target. Definitely use your sneak attack once that happens. For example, her hit points just got shredded in half. Definitely use your offhand once or twice depending on how much attacks you can do per round. Once that's done, make sure you get out there and go stealthing so this way you don't get caught. Always use your other characters as your targets. In other words, they're the ones who should be the one taking the damage. I'm going to go ahead and say about pickpocketing. Definitely get your pickpocketing gear set up and practice on that because that's your real money maker, everyone. Number 1 on that. That's very important. Number 2, you got some extra gold you'll need for supplies and such. Speaking of supplies, definitely get many poisons as you can. So this way you could use it to do some extra damage. Always coat your weapons as well. Another thing is learn to use the terrain and area when you're sneaking around. So if an area is real dark in the corner, you need to retreat, go ahead and go in the corners. This way it'll be hard for you to find. Use any form of invisibility if you can, especially if you have a wizard in your party, have them cast greater invisibility on you and such. Last but not least, don't be the target. If so, disengage, hide, and then wait till someone else is the target and then go in with another sneak attack or so. This is it from my Baldur's Gate 3 Pure Rogue Thief Dual Wielding Advantage Champion build video. This is Lord Fenton signing off. Thanks for watching and have a great day or night. Do please stay safe. Please subscribe to my channel for more classic and modern Dungeons & Dragons walkthroughs, builds, guides, and more just like this. If you like what you see, then go ahead and pick my suggestion on the upper left-hand corner or YouTube suggestion on the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and relax in this nice chair.